Flesh life, unique self collide. These collide. You start at oneness. You spread apart. And you can't see the thing. Okay? And it spreads apart and you reach a place of emotional divorce. With your emotion, you run to it. With your mind away. And you're in conflict. To resolve the conflict, you want to put the person under a magnifying glass and make them as bad as you can. And all this, which is an incredible goal in marriage, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's doable. Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
It's a nice tool.
Yeah, it's a nice tool.
Keeps you busy.
Do you have an example? I've got an example for everyone except for the conflict between personalities and past.
Okay.
Where's that at?
That was number 3.
Yeah.
Conflict.
Okay. You had a perfectionist father. You had to do everything just right and you feel like a failure. Now you're married to a thinker and anything you do in the kitchen isn't going to be right. So what you do is you've got an issue from your past and then you have a personality that's pushing the button from the past. Now, as my goal to make you out to be terrible, that's pathetic. And the point in the lecture is, would people please get embarrassed about what you're doing? That is very, very pathetic. Just to have the goal every day to make you out as bad as you can possibly be. It's a stupid thing. And do you know what? Most people feel like this in the end after about 10, 20 years of marriage. I've given you my best, and if you need more, I don't have it to give. And you finally have convinced me I'm bad enough I need to go. And so I'm saying that you're looking at your mate through these glasses of past and flesh, or past and personality. Through the glasses of unique self and flesh life. And I believe that I know you perfectly well. Very, very few people would ever know you anyway. So it's a complete distortion at that point. We started out holding our bags, we've spread apart, and now all of a sudden, I believe I know you perfectly well. And I've got a vested interest now to prove that you're all these terrible things. Now, here's what we're saying in this diagram, and listen to me and see where we're going with it. How many issues are there in marriage?
1,001.
Thousands.
I was going to say 1,001, but
Yeah, there's thousands.
okay.
And the biggest issues are sex, money, and the kids. Those will be the biggest things people argue over. Now, there's thousands of other issues. They'll fall under these. These will be the top 3. So you have things that you need to discuss. The problem is most people live below the line because they're into this dynamic of proving the very worst thing about you. So I want to prove that to justify how I feel. I want to be the victim. So I've got to prove how bad you are. When the issue comes up then, we don't discuss the issue. We discuss who's the worst person. And so I'll say to the husband, describe your wife at her very worst. And he'll look at these terms and he'll start going through here and go, well, I'm glad you got this and this and this. She's all those things. Now, after he's described her as he sees her at his worst, I say, now would you describe your husband as you see him at his worst? And she'll always do this. He's all of those things. I'm living with Legion. If you cast a demon out of him, the demon would say, thank you, it was rough in there. I'm glad that I got out. Now an issue comes and we're not listening, we're using it to prove what we already feel. And what we really do is we never have a discussion, but as we live below the line, we have a debate over who's the worst person. It is a ridiculous goal. Am I saying that I know you perfectly well? That I understand you perfectly? And now I'm going to get you to, I guess if I'm really a success at this, when we finish this debate, I'll give you my belt and you can hang yourself from the rafters. If you finally believe what I'm telling you. It is amazing. I don't know what we get in our minds. It's flesh. It's dogs. Do you know in the Bible there's not a positive thing said once about dogs? Not one time, not a positive thing about dogs, ever. People idolize dogs. Do you know what? There's only one other creature there's never a positive thing said about. Man. And men and dogs are often paralleled. Do you know when you get into the flesh, you're just a dog life? I was talking to a couple and I said, hey, I'm getting the picture. I get the picture about you two. Because I said, I know another couple just like you. And they go, you do? And I said, yeah, here's how they act. They can't be in the same room with each other. When they go out the door, one goes this way and the other goes that way. If one of them steps into the room, the other one kind of snarls at them. I said, they're always sucking up to the kids. They're always around to get theirs first. And this lady looks at me and says, have you been living in our closet? She said, that's exactly how we act. And you know another couple like that? I said, yeah. Their name is Jesse and Murray. They're my two Welsh Corgi dogs. You know, they live exactly the same way. In the flesh, it's not pretty. And that snarling and the snipping and the biting and the growling and the eating, the devouring, all of those kind of things. What is that all about? I mean, if I can really convince you that you're the source of my misery, shouldn't you leave? Because you can't change. So we look through those glasses, our past, our personality. I know you perfectly well. And now I've got a concept of you and I have to have the known, not the unknown. You can't surprise me. This is what your life, and now every issue is going to be used as an opportunity to get in a dig. So I had a couple, I tape recorded their argument, and here's actually how it went when I listened later. He says, should we buy our daughter a bicycle? That's the question. You know what her response was? You never support me in front of your mother. Well, I'm just listening to this, so I replay. I missed something. I'm listening. I want to get this fight, you know. So I go back and replay, and I hit play again. We should get our daughter a bicycle. You never support me in front of your mother.
Oh my gosh.
You know what he says? I would support you if you weren't so stupid. She says, I must have been stupid. I married you. And it went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And in the end, the poor girl never did get her bicycle. Because all they're doing is debating. Do you really want to live that way? I mean, I'm asking you, do you want to live that way? Can't you at some point say it's more pleasant to die, to take up the cross, to deny myself, that it really isn't worth it for me to be angry, go to bed angry, always have a vested interest when I see you to upset me? And the person you've been made one with, I want to make him out to be as bad as I can. This is incredible. Living below the line is an ugly, ugly way to live. Anyone here not done this with somebody? We've all done it. It's stupid. What if we... Yeah, Keith?
I'll just do it in my head.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And you just got a vested interest to find something wrong with everybody. And especially when it's people close to you. I mean, it's the flesh. We all do it. It's just ugly. It's doggy. Now, could we live above the line? And above the line would be this, to not see anyone according to their flesh. That I don't see you according to your flesh. I see your heart. I see what you really desire. And so I'll ask a woman, when you got into this marriage, what would have described your heart? And she'll say, a godly woman, a godly wife, a godly mother, I want to be a blessing, all those kind of things. And then he'll start stopping her. Well, then how come you do this? How come you don't do that for me? And how come you don't meet this need? And why do you talk that way? And you have to say, well, shut up for a minute. What's your heart? And he says, well, this is my heart. Well, how much time do you guys spend below the line trying to prove how bad your flesh is? And whatever your focus is, that's where you live. So now 95% of the focus is on the flesh. Why wouldn't I live in the flesh? And how much time do you spend above the line seeing the revelation of someone's heart? Just encouraging. You know, I know you've been upset today. I know you have a headache today and all that. But I also know you really love all of us and you really care for us. So just go back to the room and take a nap and hear some Anison and hopefully your headache goes away and come back later. And one of the things we'd say about unique self, too, since you brought that up, Doug, is that whatever the unique self is, it will always express love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. You can never say, because I'm a doer, I ran over you. You can never say, because if I'm a thinker, I had to withdraw from you and get away from you and punish you. You can't use those excuses. And but what I'm saying is, the example I'm giving is that you're right. This is Christ in charge of my unique self, and then the desires that I also have that are unique to me. Because here's two doers, and they have two different heart desires. One would like, really, their real heart would be to produce they'd like to build a retreat center so people could be alone and meditate on the Lord. Another doer wants to build a hospital for crippled children. You got two doers with two different desires. So what I'm saying is that you have your unique self under the rule of the Spirit and desires that you have. Do we minister to those desires and get a person back here, or are we keeping them in the flesh by this? What are we doing? Are we doing our bit? Because the thing is, if we die, death works in us, but life in them. And so bringing people down here with a continual focus on their flesh is never going to improve anything. Do you know, I can just tell you how ridiculous this gets, and I can give all of you a challenge. Get a piece of paper, and every morning for 30 days, have people write on it one thing they like about their mate. Every morning for 30 days. Do you know they go well for about 4 days? And then it's a grind. And yet I can ask them right now, can you write me 30 things that are negative about your mate? And we run out of paper in a hurry. Now what's your mindset? Where do you live? Do you live down here or do you live up here? What's the mindset that you have? You know you are your own heaven and hell. You decide how you want to live and how you want to be and what you want to focus on. And what is the focus? I laugh because of this friend of mine who's a villager, and he was, lives way out and doesn't wear shoes, never has on a shirt, and he's an elderly guy. He's a good friend of mine, and he was having trouble with his marriage, so we did marriage counseling, and I gave them this job. For 30 days, you have to write down something positive, leave the paper on the table, let her see it, and then she'll write something positive about you, and then you go number 2, and you go all the way down. The next day, he comes running across the grass, and he's got his sheet. Michael, I have 4 things already. 4 things I wrote today already. 4 things. And he's so proud because he's doing the assignment, So I get it, and the first thing is this. And these things he likes most about her. I like it when you admit I'm right and you're wrong.
No.
I like it when you do everything I tell you. I like it when you submit to the Lord in everything. That includes me. I like it when you take care of all my laundry. I found 4 things I like already. I grabbed a piece of paper. I said, brother, I should paper cut you to death with this. Like, you don't even get it. Well, where do you live? Can you do that? Could you write out 30 things? See, the thing is, when someone squeezes me, their character is revealed because they did the squeezing. When someone offends me, their character is revealed because they did the offending. But my response to it and what comes out of me reveals me. My point in this diagram, and we'll just go back here so I can get back on track. I brought in these 2 bags, flesh and unique self. They begin to collide. We spread apart, reach a place of emotional divorce. And now I have a concept of you, but it's a distortion. And so now I'm trying to impose my concept on you. I live below the line, and I've got a vested interest in you being a bad person. And really what we ought to do is live above the line and have the focus on Christ, and the reward would be a lot greater. I want people to feel pathetic at this point. I mean, just to stand back from yourself for a minute and watch yourself doing this and go, what is the point? What is the fruit? What has it created? Why are you going to continue doing that? What's the real vested interest in it? Is it dog-like behavior? And what's happened in the end? What have you produced? Because I'm going to tell you what you've produced. You've created the very mate that you hate with those kind of attitudes. You'll create the very thing that you hate. And that's where you get into what we call a marriage spiral that hits a wall. Every time I'm with you, you condemn me. So I withdraw from you. And when I withdraw, you condemn me more. Well, when you condemn me more, I want to withdraw more. And now we just go down into a marriage spiral where we create the very thing we hate. How many marriage spirals have you seen, and can you give me examples of marriage spirals? What's an example of a marriage spiral? Okay, let's say that I demand affection. I'm going to demand sex on demand. Now, how exciting is that to a lot of people?
Pretty bad.
Yeah, so they're going to withdraw, and that's going to make you demand all the more, and they're going to withdraw all the more, and you just work your way down until you hit a wall. And you're completely frustrated, but so's your mate. They're completely frustrated. You just got two frustrated people standing at a wall going, what do we do next? We create... You don't talk. You never talk. How come you don't talk? I wish you'd talk. Well, okay, did you read this in the paper? That's stupid. You're an idiot. How could you believe that? Now, you never talk. Would you please talk? What do you have to say? Could you say something? Oh, well, I was reading what they might do with electric cars. That's ridiculous. They'll never do that with electric cars, you idiot. Now what? Can you now talk? Well, you just create. You just have people going down into a spiral where they hit a wall. Do you have examples of marriage spirals where I'm actually creating the very thing that I hate? And so I give you absolutely no verbal acceptance. Why would you give me any verbal acceptance? And we're just creating what we hate. Again, the whole thing is pathetic. It's getting pathetic. That's my point. And I think if these attitudes at the core aren't changed, you're going to end up taking those into the next marriage. You've got to get it sorted out. Now, how do we have a marriage then?
Page is this?
Oh, it's not there. Well, I'll have to give you this one. We'll make a copy and I'll give it to you. How's that? Okay? No, we'll get it. All right, here's what I want to say in this, and just the basic diagram, and I'll probably give you, I'll give you this part of it right here. Is all we'll need. So I'll cut the rest out and give it to you. Here's my point in this. Marriage is unbelievably simple. It's very, very simple. And it's so simple you can't get people to do it. So why are there 25,000 books written on marriage? Yep. Actually, it's more than that right now. This is in English. 25,000 books on marriage. Well, if there's 2 cracks in the foundation of a house, how many cracks appear in the wall? Thousands. So what we do is we plaster these and we repaint, but we didn't fix this, so what happens to the walls? More cracks. So here's the thing. There'll always be another book on marriage because they deal with the cracks, not the foundation. God deals with the foundation, which is amazing. The foundation is this. Husbands, love your wives. Women respond to love. Women love to be loved. Love covers a multitude of sins. If you love a woman, you don't have to listen to a woman.
Amen.
You don't. And when you think about it, you know that it's true. On those days when you're making no sense, do you want your husband to argue with you, tell you how stupid you are and it doesn't make any sense? Or would you rather just get a hug and a love? You don't always want him to listen. You just want to be loved. Every little girl wants to be loved. Every woman wants to be loved. Men should grab their wives, put them on their laps, and say, I love you and you're beautiful. And the wife will always say, no, I'm not. Well, don't despise your husband's judgment. He picked you. You're beautiful to him. He's saying that's part of his identity. Women love to be loved. Love covers everything. If you have love, everything else is easy. All issues can be dealt with. Wives, respect. Well, you couldn't respect somebody that acts the way he acts, talks the way he talks, leaves his food where he does, leaves his clothes laying around, talks to the kids, talks to me that way. How do you respect someone like that? Respect means to show significance, that you're a significant person. The opposite of love is not hatred. It's indifference. It's that you're not significant. You can be mad at the people you love. You have been a lot. You can be mad at the Lord and you love the Lord. So you're mad a lot there. But it's to show significant. You're a significant person. And respect is something that I stand on. And when a woman stands on respect, she can now make her complaints and the man will listen. If you don't have any respect for him, he won't listen. Now, it's been taught in the church, which is just in a lot of churches, legalistic churches, that respect is an advantage to me as a husband because I can take all the issues that are legitimate and the changes I need to make and the legitimate complaints and shove them under the rug called respect, and you're supposed to shut up. That's not it at all. You can talk about the issues, but you stand on the foundation of respect. If you respect a man, you totally control him and rule over him. You know, midlife crisis is just this. The guy can't remember when any of the kids thanked him for making the car payment, for paying any of the insurance, for paying the electric bills, for going to a job that he doesn't like. He can't remember the last time anybody sat on his lap and said, "Thanks, Dad." And he meets some lady at work and goes, "You sure do work hard. You'd be a neat dad. Do you mean to tell me you worked 60 hours this week and made sure you took your sons camping? Boy, you'd be a great dad. I wish I'd have had a dad like you." And the guy listens to that, and it's the first time he's got any praise in the last 30 years. Any kind of respect at all for what he's done. There's nothing there. If you respect and you love, everything will sort out. Now, why are there 25,000 books avoiding this topic? Because you can't do it. We all know we can't do it. You got to admit where you are to leave where you are. How long did it take you to run out of your human love? How long did it take you to run out of attraction into reality? How long does it take? Admit it. Own it. You don't have any love. Every marriage would improve if the men admitted they couldn't love and the women admitted they couldn't respect, instead of trying to go down into this well of the flesh and come up with something to love you with, to respect you with. It can't be done. It's absolutely an impossibility because you've reached your horizon. You're at the end of your resources. It ain't going to happen anymore. And so you're all the time trying to generate a little love and a little bit of respect. And this is where the abiding life comes in. Jesus, I'm out of love. Would you come and be my love? I don't have any. I'm done. Now I'm going to take that love where it's needed. So I'm going to go find Betty and I'm going to put my arms around her. And if you're in me and your love is in me, I'm hoping it comes out at that moment. Because I'm spent. I don't have any. Jesus, would you come and be my respect? He knew you at your worst. Jesus did. And He's never abandoned you. He's hung in there. Do you know if I could tap into His resource, no matter what you are at your worst, I could still love you and I could still respect you? And so it's another thing where we're pulling together what we've said in the lectures and coming back to this one statement that He loves to hear: I can't. But nobody wants to admit it. I was in South Africa and I said, all right, I'm going to do a conference on marriage. Now, what do you people want to hear? Do you want to hear this at the marriage conference? Betty is called my little schnookums. And whenever I talk to my little schnookums, she just stares up at me and waits for every word. Because we never have fights and we have perfect peace. And that's my soulmate and we're so much in love. And well, Betty's just so cute. She's just so wonderful. And of course, I would never ever had a lustful thought my whole life. How could you have that being married to someone that wonderful? And of course, her married to me, how could she ever have a thought like that? I'm everything you need in the package. And we're just so happy together. My little schnookums and me. And it's like the guy said, and two ladies were talking in Ireland. And one of them said to the other, my husband's a perfect angel. And the other Irish woman said, well, that's a blow. My husband's still alive. So I said, do you want to hear that? Or do you want to hear reality? that we've had conflicts, that we've had struggles, that we've come to the end of ourselves. We've had to turn to the Lord. I've had to say, Jesus, come and be my love. She said, Jesus, come and be my respect. And that came out of conflict. That came out of dividing. That came out of all those emotions. All of that came. I said, what do you people want to hear?
Story.
No,
I want to hear it. I do. I want to hear it.
yeah, you want to hear the reality of it.
Reality.
But I looked at the people and I go, that's what you're telling me, but I'm not sure that's what you want, because you're buying these 25,000 books that tell you there's something other than a struggle ahead of you. There's something other than coming to the end of yourself. There's something other than meeting all the needs. And I believe ultimately, like Amy said, people do want reality, because that is reality. It'd be nice if we could live in a fantasy, but how do you compete with fantasy? And anyway, I've been around a while. I've been in a lot of ministries. When I come there, I'm always going in the back door. Nobody lets me in the front door. And there is no system or program that produces what you want. I mean, it's not real. It isn't the real thing. What do people really want? And so now what I do is, I'm not going to love you because I don't know how, because I don't have the resources and I'm done. So I make a list of why you don't deserve to be loved. And I make love on the basis of merit. Man, do you want to live with the Lord that way? And I make respect on the basis of merit. One of the things I'll do in counseling is, I don't care how terrible your mate is, I still expect you to show significance, and I expect you to love them before we go on talking. Because that's an issue you got to deal with the Lord. And you can't tell me that they've got to change to try to make you happy. You know Tim Lester, some of you. Sherry knows him. You know, he got a book by somebody. It was 101 Ways to Save Your Marriage. And Tim told me about the book, and he goes, I'm going to go through every one of those. I said, you're joking. He said, no, I'm going to do every one of them to save this marriage. So he went through all 101 of them. And when he got to the 101st, she left him. And he called me and said, it's a blow she didn't leave when you started. Yeah. You're going through all of that 101 things. And in the end, you know, she goes anyway. That doesn't do it. Those books don't help. What we're showing in this diagram is that it's very simple, but the only way you can do it is back to abiding again, back to Him being my life, back to Him being my focus, back to taking up the cross, denying self. I'm carrying those two bags into the relationship. I start at a point of oneness. We begin to spread apart. Then I develop a concept of you, and I have a vested interest to prove that about you. Again, my goal is you're being pathetic the way you're living. You've got a line here. You can live above it or below it. If you live below the line, I'm trying to prove in every situation the negative I feel about you. I'm not living above the line. And so I'm sowing to your flesh and reaping to the flesh and complaining to you about it, when I could have sown to your spirit and reaped of your spirit. But I've been sowing to the flesh. I need to take responsibility for that. I cannot tell you 30 things that are right with you. And so you know what? I've created things in you that I hate. And I have to take some responsibility for that I create what I dislike in you. When it comes to marriage, it's simple but there's 25,000 books. And the 25,000 books all give you something to do, but they avoid the basic issue. Husbands love and wives respect. Women love to be loved, men love to be respected. If you stand on that, you can begin to communicate. The problem is you can't do it. The only way you can do it is to look to Him and ask Him to be your love and ask Him to be your respect. So I used to read the Bible, and first time I was memorizing this for a course in Bible school, and I was memorizing Ephesians 5, husbands love your wives. And my response to that was, because I just had a fight with Betty, is, well, Paul didn't have a wife, so how would he know? And you just go on. It doesn't really bother you. Then I realized as I began to mature that when he told me husbands love your wives, you needed to take up the cross and deny yourself and go love them. Well, I'm like Lot's wife. My body's moving forward, but my heart's way back here. So I take up the cross and I go, and I love her and put my arms around her and say it's all forgiven and forgotten, but my heart's still way back there. Then I finally realized the commandment to love was given for my own happiness. It wasn't given to make her happy, but me, because I didn't sleep well when I was angry. But here was the problem. I didn't have any love. And so when you're building a house, if you put up the rebar, the metal, and you put the house on top of it, when the wind comes, it'll fall over. If you build a foundation and you only put in concrete, when the wind falls or the earth moves, the building will fall over. So what you do is you put the metal in here and you pour the concrete around it. There's no strength in concrete. The strength in the concrete is the strength of the steel, and as the steel is held in place, the strength of the steel becomes the strength of the concrete. Here's my point. There is no strength in choice. It's only what I pour my choice around, which is Christ. And so one day I saw that it would make me happy, but I didn't have any love, but I knew He was the love. And instead of saying I'm going to take up the cross and try to love, I said this: I'm going to pour my choice around Him. I'm choosing You to come through me. Jesus, You come and be my love. I have no love. You come and be my love. And I started pouring my choice around Him. And then I started looking for Betty. Well, where's Betty? And then I'm chanting like an obsessive compulsive. Have no love, Jesus, come and be my love. Have no love, Jesus, be my love. Have no love, Jesus, I choose You, Jesus. I have no love, Jesus, I have nothing. Do you know, as I'm looking for her, I'm pouring myself around Him, and the concrete starts to set up, and a strength that isn't mine becomes mine. And I finally find her, because you've got to take the love where it's needed, and that's there. And He gives you grace in, not before. Never does He give it before. He'll give it to you in as you put one foot in front of the other and you choose and you go. And all of a sudden I'm standing in front of her and there's a love pouring out of me, and I grab her and I tell her how much I love her and give her a big kiss and walk off, and my body and my heart's there. And I walk away and she goes, "What a wonderful man." Well, she thinks it's me loving, but it's not me. It's Christ through me. As though it's me, but it's not me. It's Him. Christ in me, the hope of glory.